Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. I'll definitely say thank you so much. All right, so a couple more crafts to go. I'm still working on my craft room. Life keeps getting in the way. So when I run across an easy one that I can do without having to have all my craft supplies available, I'm going to try it. So this is an old craft. Based on the videos that came through my feed, it's several years old, but I've not done it, so what the heck. Maybe you haven't either. So it's making paper look like leather. And you take a paper bag, and although I think it should be fairly obvious, they say use the side that's not printed, so this side. And then you would crumble it up. And I'm not gonna do all the crumbling because I'm sure that's noisy. So you have to crumble it up 2 times. And then open it back up so that it's all wrinkly. So, done twice. And then you have to spray it with water. And just give it a light spray apparently. And then once it's all sprayed, you crumble it again. And squeeze it into a tight little ball. Voila. And then open it back up and smooth it all out so it's all nice and wrinkly. And then you give it a chance to dry up a little bit. So I'm going to give it a moment or two to dry. Okay, so I'm not sure how long this was supposed to dry it for because I watched several videos and they just said let it dry for a minute or two. So it's been a minute or two. And then you use 2 different color ink, a black one and then a tan or brown one depending which video you watch. So the only tan one I have is this one from Tim Holtz. This is the Stress Oxide one. So I'm going to do this one. And then you just rub it across the top. So I'm going to do that. And then okay, so there's that one. You do the light one first. And then you go back over it with the dark one. And this is just, I don't even know where I got this from. G Studio, likely Hobby Lobby. Anyway. Okay, I can see why you want it to be drier than I've got it because you want it to, on the parts that's drier, as you can see, it's coming out more. So let's see. I'm gonna close this back up. I'm gonna crumble it back up because everybody said crumble it back up afterwards. And then I'm gonna let it dry just a little bit longer because the ink just is making a gray smudge. So let's do this. And then we're gonna open it back up and then let it dry out. So, all right, so it's a little drier now. And toss it. It shows a little bit better. Oops. I guess you shouldn't rip it like I just did. Page runs all with it. All right. So then it's been inked. And then you take conditioner. Some people used lotion. Some people use more people used conditioner, so I'm going to go with that. And some people use lotion and some people use glycerin. I don't have glycerin and I'm not going to buy it, so we're going with conditioner if I can get it out of the bottle. Okay. And then just rub it in your hand and then you rub it. I don't know how much of this I'm supposed to use, so I'm just going to rub it all over the paper. And it looked fairly wet from what I saw in the videos, so hopefully I haven't underdid it or overdid it. So, alrighty, so scrunch it back up. Scrunching seems to be a big part of it. And then you let it dry again. So let's let this dry again. So 1 second. let's let this dry. All right, so here's what it looks like dry, with after you put the lotion. Did I put lotion? No, hair conditioner on it. And then you're supposed to do Mod Podge on it. Now, some said matte, some said gloss. I have this one open, so I'm just gonna use this one. And some used half water, half Mod Podge. Some used PVA glue, or school glue, and watered it down to a ratio of 50 water, 50 glue, 50% whatever. So actually, I'm just use the straight Mod Podge. So I'm just gonna use straight Mod Podge because I don't feel like watering it down. And then you just have to wait for this to dry. So I guess overnight for it to be dried completely. And they said don't use, all of them seem to say don't use a lot of, don't oversaturate, just use a layer of the Mod Podge. So I'm going to assume that I'm not oversaturating and I'm doing it like they said. Here, just put a little bit more on. Some use their fingers, some use a sponge. I don't know why, but some said don't use a brush. Not quite sure why. They seem to think it was gonna rip it. But it's not ripping my paper. Maybe you just have to wait for it to be completely dry, I'm not sure. But we'll see how this turns out. We'll just let this one dry. All right, here's the finished one. So this was done with, all right, here they are dry. So I did several pieces just to experiment. So this is the one I was working on camera. And I just don't think it feels like fabric at all. I don't know if I didn't do it right. So I did a different one. So I didn't like how dark this one was. So I did one where I put the ink on before I and didn't get it all wet all over again. So again, it just feels like crumpled up paper. And then I did two with lotion, and these ones are softer. And so using the same techniques as the first two. And so looking at these, I didn't think they looked like leather. I think they felt like leather. Although these are nice and soft and definitely don't feel like exactly like paper either. But these feel more like paper. So I said, well, let me ask a person, a non-craft paper crafter, what they say it looks like. So I asked my mom, and she goes, well, I didn't tell her what it was supposed to be. And she goes, oh, is that supposed to look like the top of a brownie? So she's kind of right. When you cook the brownie and it first comes out of the oven, it kind of looks like the top of a brownie. So still could be used as, in a paper craft. Looks like leather. Nope, I don't think I did it right. But it was fun to experiment, and it didn't cost me anything. On to the next project. So the next thing I'm going to work on is these keychains. I'm matching it with these cold transfer stickers. And I've decided to do this one on this one, and this one on this one, but I gotta read how. And again, these were clearance from Hobby Lobby. So let's see, and this is a clearance from Michael's. And let's see what one does. Make sure I'm in. Let's see. Okay. And should have grabbed out my bone folder. Okay, don't know where I have it. So we'll just do this. Oh, you know what? And this is not a credit card, by the way. It's a Circle K card. That's why I grabbed it, not a card. Let's get all the air bubbles out of it. So hopefully this is getting all the air bubbles out of it. Let's see. Okay, that seems to be sticking pretty good. Okay, I like the way that looks. That looks pretty good. I like that. Okay. We'll have to see how to, if I need to seal that with something or not, but that'll work for that one. So, and then this one, which I'm going to do something on the other side as well. So, let's see. I'll put this on this side. Plastic on this one, so let's just put this one down. Ooh. Alrighty. So that goes on there. Oh, that's nice. All right. So I think that looks good. What do you think? So get these a little bit closer to this. Okay. All right. So that's those. And I'm gonna, because this is inspired by Stace, and she used gems on hers, I'm going to use these gems. I am going to use, instead of resin, because I don't want to find it all and dig it all out, I'm going to try some of this dishwasher safe Mod Podge, so in case it gets wet, or this hard coat. I can't decide which one. One of these two. So let's get started. All right, so what I've been working on here, so this, I've beaded up some more of this one just to show you how much further along I am and what it looks like. I actually started a different one here and just slightly beaded up so you can see the difference, whether it's partially done or more closer to being done. And I will do follow up to this one. And then this one, it does look clouded over. I was experimenting. I wanted to see if this would dry completely clear, if I use this instead of like resin. So it's still drying, so I don't know if it's going to stay this clouded, but I'll show you if it gets any clearer or not as I keep going. So this is where I am here. We're going to keep going and finishing off decorating these. All right, and then here's what I do with the keychains. This is totally what I copied off of pretty much Stace. I just used this particular Mod Podge to get them all glued in. And here's the side, which was just the rub-ons from Michaels, and these are some nail art. This was the one that I practiced on, and this was a fail, as you can see by the front of this. This is me covering it with the Mod Podge, but it didn't dry clear. Moving on to the next project. Final craft that I'm going to be showing in my little craft video here is I'm going to use these Hobby Lobby molds that I picked up, along with the colored glue sticks from Amazon. One of these Hobby Lobby little things to protect your fingers, and of course a glue gun. I did test it, as you can see, and I used the rest of the clear that I had in the glue gun, and then some pink and some yellow. The backs are really awful, so let's see if I can do a better job. So I'm just going to move aside, and let's just do a couple small ones here. Let's make sure you can see what I'm doing, and I'm just going to fill up and make myself a bow. And I'm going to use this to kind of move my little stuff around. While it's still hot, let's see, I'll make sure that I've filled it all up. And just use this little tool so I don't burn myself here. And you probably want to be a lot neater about it than I'm being, but just as a way to, oopsie. I guess I'm going to try to make it as flat as I humanly can as well. It looks like I need to put a little bit more in. And I'm wondering if you could just burn off the extra that if you've got some overflowing like I do here. And let's see how that, just a little bit in that one. Let's make something else here. Yeah, come on. Let's make ourselves how about a mushroom? And I'll do the stem in another color. Mushroom. And I'm not sure, I think this stuff just sticks everywhere. Yes, I know it's glue. All right. I think the resin probably will come out looking nicer, but if you don't have resin or don't want to work with resin because of its between the price and all the precautions you have to take, and I like resins, but it is a lot of work when you use the regular resin, the 2-part resin, and not the UV resin. But either UV resin or regular resin, both of them can get pricey. Okay, so let's see if I can get my little tool. Just a little tiny bit there. Okay. All right, let's see how that one dries. Let's do a butterfly wing. And I'll definitely be trimming up this video. Alrighty, so if you have a really big project, you're going to probably want to buy multiples of the same color because the stick runs out pretty quickly. But as you hear, it's pretty easy once you reach the end of your color to just clean it out using get back to a clear stick. Here I'm just filling in some places here. And I'm gonna demold it here in a second. They harden up really quick because of course it's hot glue. But I'm just filling in some. I might have overfilled it in some places, but let's demold here shortly, and I'll see what it looks like. I'm just gonna let it harden up here just a quick second, and then we'll demold and see just how good or bad this came out. As demolding goes, let's start with those little tiny ones. Let's see how they go. Pull it out. Just pull them all out at once. And the mold really quite clean, except for whatever that is. Comes quite clean. So, and then this is what the little guys look like, and you're definitely gonna have to clean up the edges here. Little strings that from here. So, and I'm not sure how well these will hold up, you know, if it's someplace hot, like it gets hot here. I'm in California, so if it would cause these little guys to melt, but it'd be a fun little addition. probably use this more for resin than I would for this, but it's fun. And let's see, let's do the smaller bows. And here's some bows I did earlier just to try it out. And you definitely have to clean up the edges here. Let's see, and if I found you could just use scissors and trim this off or even pull some of it off. But I think scissors is a little cleaner way to go. So I'm definitely gonna need to clean those up. But hey, if you don't like resin or you don't have all the stuff to make resin and you have a mold you like, you could either use clay or definitely hot glue. And if you look at the video I saw that came through my feed, crafts, again, I'll put it in the description, where she, oh, sorry about the dog, where she painted hers and she just used clear, then that's always an option as well. So you don't, if you don't want to buy or have the colored glue sticks. And now let's see how these came out, and let's go demold the rest. All right, so demolding the rest. That did not turn out well. Whew, okay. I'm gonna say the butterflies were a fail. The molds look fine, but definitely maybe if I used all one color instead of trying to be clever and using multiple colors, the butterflies would have been better. So definitely a less detailed mold would be better. And okay, let's move on to the bigger one. So yeah, so I think the simpler molds seem to work better. Okay, so I'm sure if you have a fine tip hot glue gun, it would work better. I have one, I just didn't want to use it on with these colors until I knew whether or not how it worked out. It does, once you put a clear one through it, push out all the colored ones, so I'm sure it'd be fine. And then let's see, I only have a couple more. Let's go ahead and just demold those. Oh, once you clean up the edges, I think the mushroom guy didn't come out too bad. Let's see about this side. I don't know if they look like mushrooms, but you can get away with looking like a flower. This one does look like a mushroom. And the little bug guys came out not too bad. And I trimmed off the first ones I did. Just, yeah, they trim off really easy with just a good pair of scissors. So I would say if you want to use your glue gun, then I would just say check your mold first, do one, see if it's a good mold for this particular technique, and then it's definitely a way to go for it. And then again, definitely you can try coloring it if you just have the clear one. I can't remember what kind of paint she used, but you can check out her channel, and again, it'll be in the description box. I'll look her up and put her in the description box. Anyway, so this was this experiment, and so partially worked, partially didn't. So I appreciate you for checking it out. I hope you see something in here that inspired some creativity for you as well. And I hope to see you in the next one. Talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.